at Kame House. Just like always, Krillin trains while setting his focus towards the sea. 18 catching him. With a smile, she asks what he's up to so late at night. Slightly embarrassed, he apologizes if he woke her. He just thought, just maybe, he may be able to do something useful this time, causing his wife to merely listen quietly. Lowering his goals a bit, he at least wants to be able to protect his family, but she warns he not overdo it. He simply smiles back at her, almost as if to agree. Tossing off her blanket, she decides to get in on the training, questioning if he'd like to spar, which sounds great to the old man. Contacting her necklace, the fighting quickly halts. Krillin bends down to pick it up profusely, uttering over and over how sorry he is. Able to get a closer look, he lets out a sigh of relief. It was only the chain that broke. He promises he'll fix it in no time, but she urges he not worry about it. After all, it's not like she really needs it. But Krillin asks, is this not the keepsake from her brother? Motioning to hand it over, he recommends she hang on to it. Peering at his own, 17 lies in a bed near Android 8. As too many siblings do, the pair don't even know how the other feels. In this case, the two cyborgs have such an unspoken familial bond. They've both been carrying around identical pendants all of these years. Under a scenic waterfall, Broly appears to cool off with some meditation. Pikkon waits nearby. Far above, despite the situation, Goku doesn't let his training slip. Hayes realizes maybe they too should have been honing their skills this entire time, but Oceanus doesn't see the point. Since they were all originally one anyway, she figures just leave the heavy lifting to these two. Alongside him, Nova and Eyes wonder what hopes they really have in defeating this Xicor guy, but that all falls upon if Goku can even be revived. When someone new pops up, announcing the day of resurrection is at hand. Given his appearance, this may be the humanoid iteration of Porunga. He alerts everyone the conditions have been met. Panning to Nova, he confirms who this man is. Before he announces, all there is left to do is wait. Inquiring what their chances truly are, Porunga doesn't know. But what he does know, if they all fail, the living world, the afterlife, heaven, hell, and even the likes of the realm of the Kaioshiins and the Dark Demon Realm and the Ryu Ocean Realm will all be no more. Balking at this, the Shadow Dragons never before believed the situation was so dire. But one way or another, 1 month passes. At the sight of the Z-Sword, a pair of soldiers salute Satan, informing they've evacuated the entire army. Trying to look cool, he warns they better get out of here too.
Yes, sir!
But one more thing, he wants them to tell the media that evil will never prevail so long as Satan walks the earth. Asking if they've got it, they salute their hero. But in front of the three of them, by the looks of Trunks' hair, they may have spent a while in the hyperbolic time chamber. As the sword begins to crack further, Vegeta announces the time has come. When, holy hell, the day of saved Krillin is here. Greeting him, at least Trunks is happy to see the old man. Showing the usual disrespect, Vegeta doesn't even concern himself with facing the fighter to question why he bothered to show up. Self-aware, he figured if the world was at stake, even he may come in handy. In a pinch, he always has the Destructo Disc after all. Though the prince tells him to forget any notion of getting involved, he will handle this alone. Whispering to Trunks, he mentions how his dad seems a bit more intense than usual, which isn't surprising to the Half-Saiyan, as he's trained incredibly during the last few weeks. Wondering how much training could really be done in a single month, that's when Krillin notices Trunks' hair has grown, who reveals it wasn't the hyperbolic time chamber, but something much more impressive. Dr. Brief actually constructed a training area that regulates the flow of time. Confirming if he really means a place like the Room of Spirit and Time. That's exactly what he means. He himself only went in there for a year, but Vegeta stayed there for 5 years. Needless to say, Krillin is astonished at the prince's dedication to this battle, and his word of doing it by himself. More and more of the Z-Sword chips away, as Vegeta reiterates the battle is about to begin. Krillin finally grasping the reality of the situation. Noticing Hercule still nearby, Trunks shouts for him to get out of here while he can, an idea he agrees with. Wishing him luck and hollering they hang in there. Vegeta has had enough of waiting, calling out Zykor to just get out here already. Sensing his ki from a distance was one thing, but Krillin, feeling the full force up close, thinks it's just unreal. While fighting crime, Oob also becomes aware the moment has come. Getting to his feet, veins pop in Zykor's head as he growls. They will all pay for this. And that concludes everything officially released by Toyble for his Dragon Ball AF series. But we do have a few more sketches Raphael Kion, check them out on DVR below, was kind enough to ink, as well as a side chapter that works as an open-ended conclusion. Gazing at his hands, Zykor bellows out with anger. While his old age has removed any reason to be afraid, Krillin knows this is one of the few moments he should be trembling at the power before him, jesting if Vegeta feels the same. But he's gone, right up in his adversary's face. He smirks that he's happy to see the villain is finally awake, not willing to give him a proper response. The prince continues, questioning how it was to so peacefully slumber within that sword, getting his attention. Remembering their last bout like it was only moments ago, Zykor scoffs if Vegeta really plans to fight him again, which is exactly the case. Deriding his foe, the villain spits at the pride of the royal family, calling his show of persistence pathetic. Powering up to Super Saiyan, our hero is ready to get this started. Reaching out, the invader offers him a pleasantry to wipe him and his bloodline out of existence in the next few seconds. It's the least he can do. Knocking Zykor back, Krillin can't figure out specifically what Vegeta just did. Over here, simpleton! Still trying to deduce what's happening, Krillin notes how Zykor keeps getting pushed back, even though Vegeta's ki is much smaller. This causes him to question if he is merely using the regular Super Saiyan form. And if so, why isn't he utilizing a more powerful state? But Trunks informs it's something else. But it does indeed bear relevance to Super Saiyan. Even Zykor retorts to blatantly asking what's going on, knowing Vegeta is surely up to something, causing the prince to chuckle, as during his training, he finally mastered a technique to kill Zykor. Krillin inquires if this statement means he found a way to surpass Super Saiyan 4, but that's not what happened. At first, that is what his father sought out. However, the villain laughs at the mention of his own death, in complete denial of such a technique existing. But Vegeta assures he has surpassed him in terms of both power and speed. Not to mention, the training increased his stamina immensely. Throwing his head back, the invader believes surely the royal jests, a power that surpasses him, spouting what trick is he trying to pull here, offering to help put his arrogance aside and teach him the basics. Vegeta responds, "No, let's me teach you," explaining there are 3 distinguished types of Super Saiyan, his son having the same conversation. Trunks goes on that Super Saiyan 4 is fundamentally different from the other forms, and when comparing it to 3, Krillin always felt they seemed pretty distant in appearance. In terms of ability, Super Saiyan 3 exhausts physical strength and specializes in an increased rate of speed. While 4 puts its focus on stamina and energy. But his explanation, as the battle, is interrupted. Roshi is revealed to be telling the story. Vegeta and Goku Jr. standing on edge, desperately pleading he explain what happened next. But as the sun begins to set, it appears time has run out today, resolving to leave off here for now, despite the children's protests. Even as they beg to know what happened with Vegeta against Zykor, or what became of Goku and his merger with Shenron. The hermit is simply too old and tired to continue the story. Pan, able to relate, tells the boys to go home for the day, and maybe they'll pick back up tomorrow. Finally obeying their elders, the pair turn to leave. Walking away, they banter on how. To be fair, Kame-Sennin did say the story was almost over forever ago now, and at one point, he even said Gohan was going to be the main focus after defeating Cell, considering the possibility he's starting to go senile or something. Easily in earshot, Pan thanks the old man for putting up with their bratty attitudes. Though, being the last one of his friends, he knows it's his duty to educate the young ones on the past. Peering into the sky, even Pan feels a bit lonely in the passing of all her friends and family. As he kneels to the ground, Roshi admits the part of him drinking the elixir of immortality has always been a fabrication, making it ironic he'd be the last survivor of the group. But something above catches Pan's attention before she has a chance to answer. Some kind of spaceship? A villain who calls himself Bebedy, the son of Babidi, has come to avenge his father's death from 100 years ago, demanding his minion, Majin Buu, to tear apart this rock. But on it without a second thought, the kids hop to it. The old folks look at each other in the realization they have nothing to worry about. Roshi even removing his glasses to appreciate the sight before him. Watching him fight, it seems the new generation is coming along just fine, causing the Turtle Master to think maybe his job is finished? Complimenting the boys, Pan congratulates him on a job well done before turning to Roshi to get his opinion. But the tired old man collapses. Waking up at home, he can't help to wonder where he is. But seeing his old house behind him, he was sure that place was long gone, as someone calls out for him. Krillin! Questioning if that's really him, he bows his head in respect, thanking him for working so hard for so long to make everyone the best they could be. Still trying to catch his bearings, Yamcha appears, just as happy to see the hermit. Not just him, but the entire original gang. Everyone taking their turn to thank him for all the good he has done. This leaves the old man unable to think of how to respond. Before long, even Ox, Tien, Chaozu, and Chi-Chi show up. With a big smile, his old student tells him it's time to rest up now. The once rival Crane School students urging the same. When Grandpa Gohan and Master Mutaito suddenly appear as well, who offer their master and student, respectively, a job well done. He had a very difficult task and handled it with perfection. Still in shock at everything going on, another familiar, yet childlike and carefree voice shouts for him, Goku himself, just as he appeared in the good old days. Reaching out for his hand, he too thanks him for everything he has done, and it's time to rest up. Gazing at the boy, he whacks him on the head, asking what the big idea is. The old man bellows this is no time for rest, as the young turtle student's training isn't over yet. Beginning to argue, Roshi demands he get a shell and swim from this shore to the next, 50 times over and back. But asking, now? Of course he means now, urging him to get going. Krillin can't help but laugh at his friend, but unbeknownst to him, this also goes for himself. Warning they watch out for the shark from ashore. Everyone finds great amusement in the childhood antics of the kids, and Roshi got to relive one of the best moments of his life one more time, even if he didn't know it the first time around. But in the living world, reality quickly sets in for the others. Unable to wake the old-timer, Roshi has finally passed on from the earth. Revisiting a few places, he has to ask Goku. That sure was a strange adventure, wasn't it? While indeed it was, it isn't their time anymore. And as it makes the hermit a bit sad, Goku assures him the next world is full of amazing things too. Asking if this means there are sexy women there, the Saiyan laughs there sure are, changing the old man's attitude pretty quickly, ready to hurry on with it and get to the next realm. Proving despite the circumstances, some people never change, but as inconvenient as it may be at times, you can't help but feel at home with the familiarity. Getting a final glimpse of the lookout, there is one last thing Goku has to do. Thanking the people of Earth for everything and sticking around for this wild adventure, as the planet's greatest hero and his greatest mentor, pass the torch and move on to the next world.